Listen up, you beautiful bastards. I'm Insipid, and this is Trove. Gonna go ahead and continue off, just making sure we're staying on track with the question of what are the biological mandates. Today we are actually going to do the sister topic, twin topic, shared topic of waste, human waste, in its various forms. We gave a prelude to it in the previous episode. We were talking about what it meant to eat, what it meant to consume something. And in the process of consuming, we would always have leftovers, always have waste, scraps, stuff that needs to be taken care of. And then there's the question of what happens when you are not taking care of that waste. The waste can take, of course, many functions. Wrappers from something that we ate. The human waste after we've eaten it. Bottles, containers. In the form of construction, there's always construction waste, usually in the form of a big dumpster that they fill up and then ship out when they're done. There is all kinds of waste in its various forms that we will manifest as part of our creative processes as a people, as a society. And so that's something that you have to be prepared for. Post-industrial revolution, you had many streets that had, I felt I clicked on this guy right here, honestly. I feel like I did. But hey, I've been wrong in the past. I was saying about how, we had overburdened streets filled with waste. Fecal matter from horses, rodents, household waste, food scraps, stuff that would detract more vermin, problematic to say the least, and ultimately that detracts disease, because all of that's just left out to waft in the open, and now you're breathing that in. That's getting funneled into your drinking water. If it stays in the ground, it goes into the groundwater. Shocking, I know. And so, to take care of that, to help society not die under the weight of its own poop, we instituted state, city-run garbage collection, where we force everyone together to agree to pay a certain amount of taxes or to pay for a service wherein the state will come around and pick up your shit. To this day, we'll do couches, we'll do bins full of stuff, bag after bag after bag. We are more than pumped to grab your refuse and get it on out of there, because it's an important function of keeping society alive. You allow your waste density to get too high, it increases the instance of vermin and disease. You might look at other actively industrializing nations that are going through their own revolution, and they are finding that they are making more waste than they are able to actively clear out. And so their infrastructure is becoming burdened, not with just trying to run an industry or a burgeoning new industry, new markets, but now they're also trying to clear out all the waste from that new growth of consumption. And with any market, you have to understand that if you're trying to grow a market, you are also growing the amount of consumption. If you're growing the amount of consumption, you are growing the amount of waste. And I hope that this is emphasizing in part how our economic systems are directly tied to our biological mandates. Whatever economic system you are utilizing, you are going to expose yourself to more or less of these problems, depending on how you are operating. Capitalism is incredibly growth-based. Growth requires consumption. Consumption produces waste. I do not know of any means by which we have monetized the creation or consumption of waste. I do know that there are some examples wherein I believe it's Sweden that now imports waste from its surrounding neighbors because their waste reclamation process is so efficient in terms of energy it produces and waste that it removes. And so there's always opportunities for us to be looking around society to society to learn things from each other. I'm not saying that the Swedes are necessarily doing it better, but they're obviously doing something that is working for them. And it's always valuable to take a moment, take a look, and see, is this something that will work better than our system? Which, in terms of appropriation, is pretty amazing. Yay, appropriation! Oh, man. Let me go ahead and bring it on back. I'm going to bring it on down. Bring it on down a little bit. We're talking about the creation and removal of waste. While there are various philosophies concerning what does the individual mandate cover, the individual in the creation of trash, are they accountable? I would say, just as a probably personal perspective, yeah, I feel that we have an obligation to try and take care of the trash we create, the waste I create, which, to my effect, is me paying for my water bill so that I can flush my waste away. To my effect, that is me paying for my trash collection bill so that someone will come to my home once a week and take away all of the recycling and trash I have made. If I was obliged, per the system, to take all of the trash I create and haul it to a central location, you would have massive weekly lines, and the amount of productivity lost on those days, a little bit on this side of what I like to refer to as huge. Because if you have arguably 1/7 of your population trying to arrive at the same location on a given day, it's a madhouse. It is significantly more efficient to pay a group of people with very nice big trucks to show up and take all of my stuff and just make it go. That's genius. That's marvelously efficient, and somehow when I'm shelling out the dosh to make them do that, I end up feeling like I'm getting a pretty good deal. I'll tell you what. I get to not spend my entire day dragging bag after bag to a central location where it can be processed. Yeah, I'm pretty good with that. I mean, what's the alternative? That you would have significantly larger numbers of isolated trash collection areas. Okay, let's follow this out really quickly, right? Let's go ahead and toy with that. You have, instead of one trash location per township, now you have one trash location per neighborhood. And every neighborhood has like a plaza that has, a meeting area, an entertainment area, a trash area. All right, cool. Is that more? Is that better? If I had my trash collection area simply within, say, my block. All right, that's reasonable. And then if you had your trash collection agencies go and not go house to house, but you simply go block to block and then hit each of these collection points. I get the impression that a lot of upper scale areas would be less amused by this. In part because now they have this personal mandate where they have to go to their block's disposal area. I suppose that might create secondary industries. I know I'm going far and broad on this, but please forgive me. I am kind of sussing out the big question. I mentioned it before, and I'm going to mention it again. There is always an interlock between how you execute your problem solving for biological mandates and the economic system that you're working under. And I think that overall, like, more people are taken care of and more people are pleased with the solution of having the dump trucks come to your home locations. Now, this is obviously less true for other styles of living. I live in a house. What if someone lives in an apartment complex where an entire complex has its own dumpster? And then... tell me more. So this guy's giving me some advice. Who are you? What's your name? Your name is Drogoth830. Much appreciated. Welcome to YouTube. And so let me jump on back then. We've got the whole question about how you get all that taken care of. And then use a log on the fire, and you'll keep doing it. Isn't the bonfire method? Yeah, so I see what he's doing, and he tosses a second. Yeah, he's doing the bonfire thing. You get less XP per log. But I see how it can be better. Look at us just being all civil together. Go us, Drogoth! Hey, alright. I find 27 tokens, which would put our total easily over 500 at this point. Easy to do if you want to AFK. Fair. Actually, recording right now, but yeah? Right now. Yeah, I did it. Yeah. And I find this method, less distracting. Good. Did it work? Okay, yeah, completely distracted by that awesome little side note with Drogoth. Again, Drogoth, thank you very much. I appreciate your input. What are we going on? We're going on about consumption. And I've completely not had a chance to go over the interlaces between consumption and companionship, which I feel deserves a whole lot of love. Let me go into it really fast. There's the societal notion of breaking bread, the act whereby one or more individual eats food together. It has so much history, both diplomatically within our people and in terms of how we engage one another with companionship. The most common association that I can bring up to mind off the bat is dating. The idea of going on a date with someone is almost inexorably connected to having a meal together. And, the act of planning a date incorporates, all right, we're doing this for how long? There's going to be the assumption that we're going to stop for some food. And so companionship and consumption go together. Great, I love it. There's that. There's religious associations with consumption. Any ritual that includes the eating of something, or any ritual that involves kind of describing food as having other qualities for the duration of that ritual. We go to great lengths to make the act of eating more spiritually in touch with ourselves. And I suppose that does bring me to an important point that I feel we're kind of missing out on again. The notion of addiction, where we are taking on this rate of consumption. We're taking on this rate of waste creation, and our sense of addiction does not care about the resource burdens that addiction creates, and is one of the perfect examples of how we can be intensely irrational. And I want to make sure that I'm able to emphasize that for a moment. We engage in many of our pursuits of the biological mandate falling cleanly within a range of a bell curve. That's one standard deviation to the right or left. And that range right there is just this pure, easy, clean. Nope, we're not eating too much as an eating disorder. We're not eating too little as an eating disorder. We were taking in as much resources as we are able to dispose of, and there's that neat little balance to the world. Addiction completely messes with that balance on a personal level and on a societal level. And how we go after addiction, how we treat addiction, does deserve a bit of sight into what are our biological mandates. How do we tell our body that, yes, you are identifying this as a mandate. You are identifying this as a, if I do not do this, I will die behavior set. And how do you tell your body, no, you're okay. We don't need to consume more. And that's a challenging topic. One that, I mentioned it before, I hope I can get a chance to include addiction as a topic at the end of this series. Until then, I do want to go ahead and say a big old thank you to these fine people. These are the people that make these streams videos possible. Thank you very much. I certainly can't do it without you. And with that, it's been real. It's been fun. I'll catch you guys on the flip side. Take care, everybody.